Today, we are asking the question, what is the future of African restaurants in the diaspora? Food is a commonality that knows no boundaries or borders. Food brings people together, builds communities, and nothing tells you more about the identity of a person, a place, or a people more than the kind of food they have on their plates. African cuisine in the diaspora is in high demand because there are over 200 million of us living outside of Africa. Wherever we are in the world, nothing takes us back to feeling at home than sitting in an African restaurant that presents us with good, authentic home food and a great nostalgic atmosphere. Today, simply dining in an African restaurant just for the food alone is not enough. African restaurateurs have found innovative ways to provide an upscale dining experience and offer world-class Michelin star services. On this episode, we will meet a man who is a visionary, is a restaurateur redefining the African fine dining experience. Stay tuned to learn how he built one of the most popular African restaurants in the DMV. We will be right back.
Graduated from high school, I realized I wanted to go back to school because I didn't want to work these back-breaking jobs the rest of my life. With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed to come back to school. I felt accomplished, made me feel that I could take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Africans are everywhere and are making waves. Time to end the negative narrative and tell our own story. Africans are not made up of the single-story negative narrative and image the media has portrayed for decades. There are over 200 million people of African descent throughout the world living outside of Africa, known as the African diaspora. The diaspora has a role to play because rebranding Africa is going to require a collective effort. This is Africa's Triumph series, where we tell the trial-to-triumph story of people of African descent. We profile the trailblazers, movers and shakers, business personalities, and change-makers of the diaspora. An interview series to inspire the African and cosmopolitan millennial to keep pushing for that next level.
Welcome back. Africa's Triumph is a show where we uncover some of the continent's best at the top of their fields. I'm your host, Adedayo Fashanu. In May 2019, an African restaurant called Swahili Village marked 10 years of service to the diaspora and lovers of African continental cuisine. Swahili Village has shown exemplary strides, exhibiting what the future of African restaurants should look like. Mr. Kevin Onyona, founder of Swahili Village, introduced modern kitchen technologies and innovations to scale not only the food service but every aspect of the restaurant's efficiency. He is also in the midst of executing the Swahili Village 2030 growth plan to establish the restaurant as a global chain. We have a lot to talk about with Mr. Kevin, so let's get right into it. Welcome, Mr. Kevin.
Thank you.
Or should I say Chef Kevin?
Well, I can wear both hats very comfortably.
Very, very comfortably. You are so inspiring to me. Just learning about what you've done with Swahili, like the way your restaurant runs and just how far you've come. So can we start, let's start from where we are right now. Where is Swahili, right now? Like, where are you in the aspect of, building your restaurant? Like, what's happening right now? Because I know there's some exciting stuff happening.
Yes, so we are at a moment where we can define in amazing ways the future of how I see African restaurants going. Swahili Village, Beltsville, it's already at a cutting edge because we have met the standards and surpassed in so many ways a lot of the quintessential American restaurants. In other words, we have played at the level of top American restaurants and being able to achieve the capacity of their production point and deliver at the level of the so-called corporate American restaurants. And we are proud to say we're playing at that level. And you know, once we get to play at that level as diasporans, we want to scale way more than just play at that level. The average, yeah. So Beltsville, you know, is being able to accomplish the level of service, the level of production, the level of capacity that, you know, most American restaurants play at, which was never there before. Yeah. In so many ways, previously, you know, we were defined at very different levels, and I'm just happy to be where we are today.
It's very hard to, and rare, I would say, to find an African restaurant that is playing at a, you know, top star level. Like mostly, it's African restaurants are usually seen as small businesses, you know, and to really scale just with the complexities of the you know, our food and just all of that. But I think with what you've accomplished with Swahili, you've been in existence for how long now? Over about 10 years. You just celebrated 10 years. Okay, let's now go back, because let's now go back to where you started from, you know, building Swahili. Like, what inspired you to venture into this?
Several things, and actually, more importantly, is that I was able to see through our failures in the area of hospitality. So our food is very complex, I must admit, and it is very difficult to be able to deliver it in the way we're doing now, because we believe we have beautiful food, the Dio. There's no question. Yeah. But the way that our food, you know, has to be made and prepared require that there's a lot of time that's spent on it. And in a restaurant, in an American restaurant, when guests come to sit in, they don't want to sit there and wait for that long to get his food prepared. And we also believe that our food must be delivered on the table like your grandmother made it or your mother made it. You know, and so for that reason, we go through a lot of pains to do all the depth and detail of preparing this food and present it to the customer. Our American customers are not very patient. And I'm saying that because, you know, our diasporans are Americans now. They live here. This is their home. This is their home. Yeah, so
when they go there, they want their food to be able to. And the African food is very complex. The amount of time it takes to prepare a meal, but you have perfected or mastered the process, right, of getting the food from, you know, made fresh each time to the table. And tell us about some of the technologies, because I really want, like, listen, this is the excitement I have. I can't even contain it, because just seeing what you're accomplishing with Swahili Village, building it, you know, scaling it up, and then also introducing new technologies. I don't want us to miss out what's really happening. So I want us to get to the details, right? So you've introduced modern technology and some innovative ways to scale up African dining. Tell us more about that.
So what I did when we opened Swahili Village was to get myself and to train myself to be a chef. Okay. And it took a long time. It took me 4 years in my own kitchen, working with a kitchen consultant, to understand how our production and our cooking works. And it was very challenging even for my consultant. But over time, I was able to see where we can be able to really save time on production.
Okay, so wait, hold on. So let's not miss this. 4 years perfecting the preparation of African dishes from in a restaurant manner. Yeah. I remember you told me you even slept in the kitchen floor of your restaurant.
Yeah, because it takes a long time.
So so this is something you intentionally wanted to create?
Absolutely. I went into this, you know, I left a corporate job to come to do this, and I wanted to be able to come out on top to revolutionize how finally you can create this very beautiful, you know, food, and put it out to the public in a normal sense. And so, yeah, there were times when I spent, you know, 70 hours a week, and it was exhausting. But it's, you know, I lived in Bowie, and I worked in Beltsville, and we closed the restaurant sometimes at, you know, midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning.
The interesting thing is that, you know, there are challenges, and I think for one to appreciate how far Swahili is today, you have to really understand the challenges behind the preparation of the food, you know, the complexities of the African dining, and just the idea that the food can be consistent, right? That each meal prepared doesn't have a different flavor or taste each time. So every time you go there, you're getting the best quality at each time. I think those are the challenges, right, from African dining that you've been able to master with Swahili.
Dio, it is not an easy task. Especially, I'll give you an example. Yeah. Getting the grilled goat meat, which is very rare to find in any dining experience. Yes. You go anywhere asking for grilled goat, you will not find grilled goat. Now, I had to come up with how to be able to do this. You have no idea how many chunks of goat I had to trash because I'm trying to perfect this.
Just hold that thought. We'll be right back. Now, we have to go on a short break now, but when we come back, we will discuss the opening of Swahili restaurants nationwide. We'll be right back.
We serve the entire state of Missouri.
On the west side of Chicago.
We serve families that live in Washington, D.C. Prevention is at the core, whether that's mental health, physical health, school readiness.
Drugs, alcohol, mental health, suicide, underage drinking, and tobacco use.
Marijuana, all the way up to opioids, cocaine. If it's a drug, we are there to try and prevent it.
National Prevention Week is a celebration of all the things that happen all year long.
Some of our National Prevention Week activities have been focusing on the illegal drugs, illegal use of opioids.
Prevention is about saving lives.
This is where it happens.
This is where it happens.
This is where it happens. This is Prevention at Work.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, you are watching Africa's Triumph, a show where we uncover some of the continent's best at the top of their fields. We have been in conversation with the founder, the visionary, and restaurateur of Swahili Village restaurant chain. Let's watch a short clip showcasing the offerings of the Swahili Village Beltsville, Maryland location.
Looking for a new dining experience? The Swahili Village offers mouth-watering selections. Try a truly tasty cultural cuisine and delicious authentic Swahili cooked dishes. Swahili Village offers an excellent tilapia grilled beef served with exceptional sauces and vegetables. It's the ultimate African safari in a unique, relaxing atmosphere with a pleasant ambience. The Swahili Village is an amazing destination restaurant if you want exceptional service, a tasty menu to choose from. Step out of the norm and step into the Swahili Village, located at 10800 Rhode Island Avenue, Beltsville, Maryland. Asante sana. Thank you.
Wow, wow, just amazing. That was the Beltsville location.
Yes.
And we have something coming up, right? And what's that?
So we have a new location coming up in Washington, D.C., downtown. Yes. We're responding to a really big demand from our customers. You know, we have in downtown D.C. home to all the diplomatic community, all the African embassies, all the state departments that do business with Africa, and all different kinds of agencies that are home
to diplomats. DC is that spot.
Yes.
But not only did you get just any, you know, I mean, you have Northwest, Northeast. You are under the diplomatic corridors of Washington, D.C.
Yes.
Like, what?
Yes, that location is amazing. And, you know, they say of restaurants, location, location, location. The location of the M Street, Northwest Washington, D.C. for Swahili is a game changer.
It is.
Why? Because we are within blocks away from the World Bank.
Yeah.
We are within several blocks from literally 80% of African embassies. And this is a home to all the diplomats that travel back and forth to do business with the government of the United States. And they're downtown. And do you know that we don't have a proper, solid representation of a beautiful African restaurant that can be able to deliver that level of service and authenticity.
It's hard for me to sit still because, to be honest, like we have been in, you know, you've made TANTV, you know, part of your media partners, right? And just from working and really understanding your concept of Swahili, it's amazing and mind-blowing, right? To see that the DC Annex, right, is also going to engage nightlife, entertainment and nightlife. You're going to have an event arena over there where you can have African dialogue and to also serve like a full upscale, iconic, fine dining area for diplomats, ambassadors, you know, just global leaders. That's just amazing to me because there's nothing like that.
No, there isn't. And actually, it's been lacking for a long time. So imagine today, if you were to ask anybody in downtown DC, what is your thinking of an African restaurant?
Yeah.
Where can I find a place to go and enjoy a fine dining? They would be struggling to tell you. Now, you know, we have a lot of Ethiopian restaurants.
Yeah.
But even Ethiopian restaurants haven't really scaled it to where you can say this, oh, we know this place.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still defined by very small little locations. Now, that's not to say that we bring those down, but why did we end up in 2019 that we do not have a good fine dining restaurant?
So this means that this is a first of its kind in the DMV and particularly in DC. So there's a special guest you've been wanting to get on to Ida Swahili.
That guest. That guest knows our food very well, is familiar to our menu.
The very special
The
guest.
very special guest.
And you had him in mind building this new location.
I had him in mind building Bellsville.
So that he will need Secret Service.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be worried about stepping outside of the Secret Service.
Yeah, because this guest is a very unique guest.
Yeah.
This guest, just can't run the place and dine. So anyway, now we are aware.
Well, I'm just going to say it. President Obama,
yes.
Former President Obama, if you are watching this and we're trying to get you to come eat at Swahili.
No, for sure.
But you had him in mind also, like, and just looking at the other diplomats that come into DC.
Yes. So we had to be in an area that is called the diplomatic corridor, that allows for even presidents of Africa that come to DC that would like to be able to find a place that they can, after they have all these stressful political meetings, and sometimes they want to be able to wind down and can come and really sit back and say, this is a place I want to be right now, and enjoy some fine African experience and dining. So
let's talk about this, your vision, right, for African fine dining. Our previous conversation, you mentioned a 2030 growth plan. What is that?
So Swahili Village. Okay. Let's just put Swahili Village in context. We are right now working on downtown DC that will open in December. Okay. We're working on Newark, New Jersey that will open next year in August. We're working on Atlanta, Georgia that will open maybe earlier, and Dallas, Texas. Wow. Those are actually right now in the works. Now, once you're to the point where you are in multiple states, it then becomes easier to say, wait, why not be in as many states as you can be? But forget Swahili Village. Yeah. We're inspiring so many other people that see what we're doing from the continent of Africa, that says, hey, African dining is not defined just by Swahili. Yeah. It's defined by all these other places that touch this and touch this. The African food is amazing, and the African, cuisine line is huge. So what about, other, innovators that say, look, well, that's Swahili. Why don't we have this one?
As an example.
As an example on how to be able to launch various other African cuisines at the highest level. So
this is honestly why I am looking at the future. This is the future. Anyway, we have to take another break. Don't go anywhere.
This is my house. My parents helped build it. Now we don't get wet when it rains. I don't get too hot or too cold inside. I can play with my sister, I can play with my brother, I can play with my mother, my father, my family. This is my house.
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 Visit Habitat.org to find out how you can help more families like mine.
Before we round up, we have to take a look at some of Swahili Village's staple dishes and have Kevin share more with us about the main menu at Swahili Village. So we're going to take a look at some of the staple food that you have at Swahili. Oh, look at this! This is so. I'm hungry. What do we have here?
So here is typically what Africans do. They come out in groups. And they generally, you remember, from our own continent, we serve food communally
dining.
done. Yes. So when you have a group of 7 people, we serve a group platter. And everybody digs into that plate. And in that plate, there is all kinds of meats. You have meats, you have the grilled beef,
so
you have the
what's
grilled
that
goat.
called? What's the bread called? The bread is
chapati.
Chapati
is very, chapati is very Indian influence, because in Kenya we go back 4 generations of Indians, so we've exchanged our food so much that we have
Tell us about the flavors.
Yeah.
So the flavors is inspired, like the flavors you have at Swahili is also like Kenyan.
It's Kenyan. It is Indian. It is Portuguese. It's Arabs.
Arabian.
Because we all traded in the early centuries with all this. And we actually then it was called the barter trade. And you bring your spices, we give you our cowrie shells, and it's so.
Wow. So what do we have here?
We have grilled chicken. That's a chicken breast.
Okay.
That chicken, the flavor that goes into it is crazy.
Wow. And over here.
And over here we have.
This looks really good.
Yeah, we have the beef stew.
That's beef. Is that goat or beef?
No, that's a beef stew with believe it or not, with collard greens and of course the ugali, which is actually polenta based. It's same as fufu.
Okay.
It's same as fufu. It's corn fufu.
Okay. Yeah, that's corn fufu.
Corn fufu. Yeah.
Really?
And with the stew, yes.
Okay.
And then there we have
plantain.
We have the almighty plantain and suya. In Kenya it's called nyama choma. In West Africa it's the almighty suya. Suya.
Oh wow! So suya or nyama choma or grilled goats?
Grilled beef steaks.
Grilled beef.
Yeah, this is just steaks, by the way.
What's the sauce? What's the sauce behind
it? No, that behind it. That's a salsa.
Okay.
So Kenyans have, we believe that if we give you meat, we have to give you some vegetables with it. So it helps you to.
Fish.
And then, of course, we have the almighty tilapia with coconut masala sauce. That right there is sexy. The flavors in that fish is omnipotent.
So what do you eat it with?
And there you can go with, you can eat it with rice. Okay. You can, and of course you must have some vegetables on it, or you can eat it. That fish you can play with it any way you want.
Wow,
and
that looks really good.
And of course now that I'm sure my brothers from West Africa really love this.
Okay.
Tilapia, fried, and then the sauce on it. But this is the tomato.
Yeah.
The tomato-based sauce. So we didn't add the coconut on this one.
Okay. And so this is different from the masala sauce.
The masala
coconut
is different. This is what naturally.
Yeah.
So we somehow cook our sauce down. On the West African, what would they prefer do this is tomatoes and onions.
So what's so interesting is anybody from any part from Africa and even beyond will find something that they. Oh, look at this.
Now, there's a goat stew.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the 4-hour cooking grandmother.
4-hour cooking.
4 hours slow cooking that grandmother prescribed.
I'm sure it pulls nicely.
It is, and by the way, it's off the bone, and the flavors in there is crazy. We started off with fresh herbs. Anyway,
this is amazing. Nice. We have to go into your kitchen and just do like a special episode. But this is exciting to me. Do you have anything you want, any message you have out there for the audience, or like what do you have to say? Because we'll be wrapping up shortly.
Let's listen. African food.
Yes.
Is the future because Americans are discovering themselves. They're discovering so much outside of what they know now, because we bring in, so much different kinds of flavors and approach and detail that.
Well, you heard it. African food is the future. Well, that's it for our show today. Thank you, Mr. Kevin, for being a wonderful guest. And we want to also thank our sponsors for their support. Bye for now.